What causes swirls and scratches in your paint?
Everything. Hi, I'm Yvan.
And I'm Nick, and this is the DIY Detail Podcast where we're going to help you understand what not to do. What causes this? What is this? This being swirls and scratches.
Right.
This being an amazing detailing conversation.
So, first of all, what are swirls?
Well, we have our clear coat,
Right.
which is incredibly thin. And when I think of a scratch, I think of here's the clear coat, here's a divot in the clear coat. So in
Right.
fact, when we remove a scratch, we're rounding the edge and we're actually leveling clear coat, which is finite, to reduce the appearance of that scratch. So we
Right.
don't actually remove scratches, and our clear coat is in fact quite thin.
Yeah, we're actually removing clear coat down to the bottom of that scratch. But what a swirl is a fine, very fine scratch in the paint. Now, a lot of people see swirls as circles. And there's the old wives' tale that you only have to wash your car in straight lines. And you should never clay in a circular motion. And you should never apply a coating in a circular motion because it causes swirls. Swirls are not circular. If you look at them in the right light, they're actually a collection of straight lines. The only reason we as human beings perceive them as circles is we have this big ball of light up in the sky called the sun. And it's bringing down its beams of light that looks like one little round point on our vehicle. And when we see that round point, we have all these radiating lines coming out of it. But in fact, they're all straight lines. They assemble to look like a swirl.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I believe you, but I don't visually understand it. So you have one ball of light, and why are you seeing them a certain way versus another?
Because if you look at a circle, and then that light is radiating out from the circle. Well, since that light is radiating out from the circle, you see all these lines that eventually form a circle of scratches.
Oh.
But in essence, if you look at it really close, they're all straight lines.
And if you were to just have, instead of a circular light, a line light?
Yeah, a very, very fine line of light, not light of line, but line of light that would show you that they're all really just straight lines and they're intersecting. But since they're intersecting and you have that circular point, then you see them growing around there and it looks like circles.
Some paint looks like it scratches so easily.
Some paint looks like you took sandpaper to it.
I mean, some paint, you just look at it and it seems like it scratches.
Right.
So I wanted to talk about all the ways that you can scratch the swirl paint, but first, can we just go through what is automotive paint in modern day?
It's basically plastic. It's basically what it is. And it's a plastic layer that's over top. So we have the metal, and then we have the E-coat, which is an anti-rust coating that they put on the metal.
On a door, say.
Yeah, on a door, whatever. Any part of the car. From there you have...
Okay, let's talk about the hood. Okay, you got the hood, which is metal.
Yeah.
And then E-coat.
Yeah, and then primer. And then your color, whatever your color is. Then your clear coat. And some vehicles have tinted clear coat. Meaning that if you remove too much of that clear coat, then you actually get through that and see the base coat underneath.
Even though you haven't technically gone through the clear?
Right. For example, the Ford RR paint coat. So burgundy, it's a beautiful burgundy. It's just about every Ford car truck since 2015, I think, has had this as an option. It's a really popular paint color at Ford. And it's what's called a candy. Now in the 70s, when we used to do hot rods, we had candy apple paint. And candy apple paint was we'd put down a silver or a gold base, and then we'd put a tinted clear, a red tinted clear over top, and just keep building it up until we got that thickness and the look we were after. Well, the RR paint coat from Ford is very much that. So it is a paint, and the base coat is actually sort of a pinkish gold, and then the clear coat is tinted. So someone that polishes that clear coat too much, they end up going from a nice deep burgundy to a pinkish gold.
So anyone who understands painting is going to get this, but
Yeah.
I sometimes ask dumb questions because it helps me learn more, and people out there might have the same question. So primer helps the paint stick? Like, give me the whole science behind, the chemistry behind why primer is used.
E-coat is a rust proofing. That's all it's there for.
And every panel is going to have E-coat first?
Every steel panel.
Every steel panel.
Right.
Steel versus fiberglass.
Fiberglass, plastic, aluminum, any other, carbon fiber, whatever substrate you want.
Do we want to talk about the different substrates on cars these days?
No. We're talking about swirls. So we're not there yet. Okay. Unless you want to do a 3-hour podcast. But anyways, you have your primer, which is basically a glue. It's helping that base coat adhere.
Which is your color.
Right. And your base coat or your color coat, if you didn't put a clear coat on it, it would be a matte finish.
And if you didn't put a primer on the metal, your base coat wouldn't stick as well?
Right. So like a really cheap paint job, sometimes it flakes off. Well, that's because they didn't do it properly. They didn't sand it and they didn't do all these preparation steps. And then on top of that, we have clear coat. Now, if we look at the average thickness of automotive paint, it's been going down and down and down over the years. 5 years ago, it was roughly about 100, 115 microns. 50% of that was e-coat, primer, and base coat. The other 50% was the clear coat. Now, these layers haven't changed in thickness over the years, so the e-coat, the primer, and the base coat, but the clear coat's getting thinner and thinner. So we as automotive enthusiasts and as detailers, we want to preserve that clear coat as much as possible. And we want to eliminate swirling, that way we don't have to polish the car as often.
Right, it's so difficult because you can know all these things theoretically, see a deep scratch on your paint and want it gone.
Yeah.
And the way that visually it would disappear often is a very aggressive paint correction,
yes,
which is going to shave off your very finite amount of clear.
Because some people think, and it was true back in the 60s and 70s when we had lacquer paint, or even before that. When we had lacquer paints, you would polish the paint and get it so hot that it would actually reflow the lacquer. So that deep scratch that you had, so we have this deep scratch, you would heat it up as you're polishing, not really good, but anyways, you'd heat it up as you're polishing, and that lacquer would actually, some of it would fill in that scratch. So you weren't removing all that paint thickness. Today's paint doesn't reflow. It's not going to move. It's not a living entity. So that scratch, let's say your clear coat, for sake of argument, is 50 microns thick. Well, at 50 microns, if your scratch is 20 microns deep, then you're removing 20 microns of paint all around that scratch. If your scratch is 40 microns deep, you've removed 40 microns of paint all around that scratch. So we want to reduce the amount of scratching, we want to reduce the amount of swirls we get in paint. And since the podcast is about swirls, let's stay on swirls.
Clear coat though is what, about as thick as a piece of paper?
Thinner than that.
Thinner than that?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about with all these fancy terms like microns. Some folks out there might be veterans, some might be newbies to the whole world of this. So trying to meet everybody where they're at. Asked a few kind of softball questions to really understand base coat and primer and clear coat. And here we are on how your paint gets swirled and scratched.
Right. Now, how does your paint get swirled and scratched? Unless it's in a vacuum sealed bubble, it's going to get swirled and scratched.
No matter what. If it's on a Garage Queen, you have to sort of build in this acceptance that things are going to happen to your vehicle. Not even car dings in the parking lot. I'm not talking about other humans hitting your car. Just the roads are a jungle and things happen.
Right. Now, there's a lot of things we can do to reduce the incidence of swirling. The only way to eliminate the incidence of swirling, like I said, is put it in a vacuum sealed bubble and never drive it again.
One thing that does cause, speaking of people who are doing that, scratches and swirls, car covers.
Yeah. So
that's a weird place to start, but when you mentioned how could I perfectly keep my car safe, I'm like, well, just put a car cover on it. That's what a lot of people think.
So a lot of people put a car cover on a dirty car, and then they remove the car cover. Now, the car cover isn't like you have in the premieres in Cobo Hall of the Detroit Autorama show where they lift the cover off in one fell swoop. No, people are standing at the front of the car and pulling it to the back and rolling it up. And our pressure washers decided to give us a little, hi, how are you?
We are in a garage where people clean cars and have pressure washers. But even when you say dirty car, I mean, it could be a dusty car. Because when you look at a microscope, a little piece of dust or dirt is just a jagged boulder ready to be hit by a dry chamois to clean the car because it's just dusty. Into the paint, that little piece of dirt goes on that chamois, whatever you're using, don't use chamois. Into the paint, and then it scratches your car, just like that.
So we want to reduce the incidence of things moving across our paint. One thing that does a great job of protecting it is ceramic coatings. The way ceramic coatings protect against swirling, things like that, is not that they're incredibly hard. And yes, they're much harder than the paint. But remember, you've got 100 microns of paint, and you're putting on maybe 1 micron of ceramic coating. That 1 micron is not going to protect the 100 microns underneath it. It's not going to make the 100 microns magically any harder. What it is doing is it's providing a surface that's much, much slicker. So that boulder of dust, you know, we see it as a little speck of dust. Your paint sees it as this huge boulder scratching across it. That boulder now slides much easier. So it can't dig in, it can't grab anywhere on your paint. And that's what the ceramic coating is doing. That's how ceramic coating can protect against swirls. It's not going to eliminate them 100%, but it is going to protect you against that marring and that swirling.
From a chemistry standpoint, why is the paint slicker? What helps it become slicker with the coating?
We're basically filling in the pores with the coating.
Okay, so let's just say the pores of the clear coat were, maybe they're not this even, but we're filling in some of those so it's more like this?
Right, and if you look at a clear coat in a microscope, or if you look at automotive paint through a microscope, it looks like a sponge. It's not a nice smooth surface that our eyes perceive. If you look under a really strong microscope, it is literally a sponge. So it's full of holes, it's full of bubbles, it's full of all sorts of stuff. We don't see it that way. But the paint, when it has that piece of dust on it, if that piece of dust can grab, and as you're driving down the highway, great example, you have dust on your car, you're driving down the highway, it doesn't levitate off the car and move off the car, it slides along the car till eventually it gets caught in the air.
I often wondered, even with the best wash techniques and best practices, why cars get scratched. So give me an example of someone who does all the right things and yet they drive their car. Because that was an interesting example where I think with snow, I intuitively get it, right?
Yeah.
You have snow, it melts on your hood, you watch it melt away as you're driving and you're like, that's probably scratching my hood, right?
Yeah, it is.
What else happens?
Right, the snow itself isn't, but all the dirt particles that are in the snow are now sliding along. So again, if you have a ceramic coating on your car, it's going to slide much easier, less resistance, less of those little boulders grabbing in and doing damage. The wash process. A lot of people think they've got the most elaborate wash process you've ever seen, then they take a microfiber towel and dry it with water. Water is not a lubricant. Water is very corrosive, actually. And water is full of little minerals, little rocks, scratching things. And what that water does is it's actually a solvent. You know, we have this thing called the Grand Canyon. That was caused by water. You know, it started out as an innocent little Colorado River and eventually became this big, deep hole. That's through erosion, that's through movement, all of that. So that water moving on your vehicle is causing scratching, it's causing those micro markings. By using a drying lubricant, so a lot of people call it a drying aid. I prefer to call it a drying lubricant because it's not really well, it is helping you in drying, especially if you're in a cold climate. If you're in a cold climate, ceramic gloss, when it's cold, makes drying the vehicle so much easier. But that movement, when we're drying with our towel, if you just have water, water is a solvent. It's not a lubricant. Water does not lubricate in any way, shape, or form in reality. It's not, you know, if you put water in your engine, your bearings are going to disappear in short order. Put oil, that's a lubricant. So our ceramic gloss or quick beads acts as that lubricant. So that is reducing the incidence of scratching, swirling, whatever.
Interesting question that maybe folks haven't thought about out there is, what is a safer drying aid technique? To spray ceramic gloss on the paint and then use a towel to dry, or to spray right on the towel? My preference is a few sprays on the towel to get it kind of wet, just a little bit on the surface, and then spray a few sprays on the panel. I like to get that combo, and then eventually ceramic gloss will get into my towel, and I feel like it's got some lubrication on the towel itself.
Exactly.
But what is the chemistry behind that whole process?
You want to make sure that between the towel and the paint is not just water, is ceramic gloss.
So get some on the paint.
Get some on the paint, get some on the towel, do both. Like you said, it's the better way. The other thing is that a lot of people don't think of is they start washing. What's the first thing they do when they start washing their car?
They start washing the wheels?
No. What's the first tool that they use?
Pressure washer.
Right. So you've got 12, 1500, 2000 PSI hitting that little piece of dust and moving it along the paint, scratching all the way.
That's why it's so important to emulsify that dirt. That's why you see the foam cannon used. I think some YouTube detailers out there, they'll go pressure washer on paint first, because on especially dirty vehicles, it's visually appealing to watch this.
Oh, it looks
They'll
great.
start to strip the nastiness one line at a time, right? It looks great on YouTube, but if I am trying to take care of the paint on a car, and you might see us do some demos and hear some tests, whatever, right?
Yeah.
This is not, we're not talking about like saving babies, you know,
No.
in like a third world country in the middle of a horrible war. Like, we're talking about cleaning cars, okay?
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, if you just use a pressure washer on dirty paint, you're introducing a lot more risks of swirls and scratches. If you foam it first with incredible suds, or if you use an all cleaner or all-purpose cleaner, let the chemical
Or rinseless
break
wash.
some of it down. He loves rinseless wash.
Pre-spray with the rinseless wash.
Yeah, let it break it down first, then spray it off with a pressure washer.
Right,
Because what, all the little boulders we talked about have been emulsified, suspended in the...
Yeah, they're encapsulated, they're suspended. They're actually, the emulsification means it's breaking it down. It's putting it into an emulsion. So it's trying to make a homogeneous, one continuous product out of it. But by having the rinseless wash, the incredible suds, even the all clean, what that is doing is it's enveloping the little dirt particles, lifting them off the surface, and then the pressure washer can move them along without friction. But if you start with the pressure washer, I guarantee you're swirling your paint.
Okay, so we've sort of got a basic premise of this.
Yeah.
Basically, here's the thing. If you're OCD out there, never touch your car. Touch the handles. Outside of like a very like safe wash process, don't lean up against your car. Don't just see how much dust is on there and run a dry finger on a dry car.
Yeah.
There are things like that that can, if you have kids, I'm sorry, but your pristine paint just ain't going to last.
No.
They're going to open things up. One area that tends to get a lot of wear and tear is the gas cap area.
Yeah, the gas cap area. Another thing is, for those classic car lovers out there, I've been to many, many classic car shows. I own classic cars, so I know the routine. I know the regime. They get to the classic car show. They open their trunk, they pull out the chairs, they put them in front of the car. Then they reach into the trunk, and there's a terry towel that's been folded on that spare tire for a decade or two, and a bottle of something. It doesn't matter what it is. And then they start by just spraying it on the car. And normally it's a wax type product. It's not designed to lift and emulsify the dirt. It's designed to provide a bit of shine. So it's a showroom shine, whatever the product is. They spray it on, then they take that terry towel and they work it in. And the paint to a detailer is just full of swirls. But you talk to the classic car owner, oh, my paint is perfect. I had it painted 12 years ago in Imran. It is great. It's spectacular. Again, from a detailer's perspective, I'm sorry. No, your paint is just a swirled up mess. But they like their car. And that's one important thing is, how do you like your car? If you like it the way it is, don't worry about it.
Exactly. Don't let us make you feel a different type of way about this.
No.
I was going to say, they're happy.
They're ecstatic.
What are we to do to go up and say, well, sir, do you see, these sort of like random isolated deep scratches here, and a lot of, this looks like some car wash marring, and it's just, if they don't see it, and if you don't see it, don't let us take you there.
No, and if you're going to that car show, what you want to use instead of that spray detailer or shine or whatever is actually a waterless wash. The waterless wash will give you the emulsification that you need and the lubrication that you need to wipe it off. Now, if it is just very, very minute light dust, a nice coating of ceramic gloss will do the job. But the better alternative is the waterless wash.
And we are working on a waterless wash, so stay tuned. Hopefully by car show season 2023.
Oh yeah,
that's something that we'll have.
We're in the final stages of it.
But you know what I've learned on the back end, product development, testing, logistics, labels.
It takes time.
Just err on the side of caution.
Oh yeah.
Because there are a couple of things that have taken longer than I would have wanted, and that's just part of having a business, right?
Yeah.
We have to do this the right way.
Exactly. But anyways, back to our swirls.
I digress.
Yeah. Now, there are products out there that hide swirls. So a good old-fashioned paste wax will actually hide swirls. It fills a little bit, it hides the swirls. So if you're doing a car show thing and you want to hide the swirls, what we used to call a glaze, a machine glaze, was basically just a very thick wax that you put on, let sit there, you wipe off the excess, and it looks beautiful. Not long, but it looks beautiful. So there are, and a hand paste wax, you know, the good old wax on, wax off, still a very good form of meditation as far as I'm concerned, and not a bad way of maintaining your car. Now, it doesn't last as long as ceramic gloss or quick beads or anything like that, but again, going to the car show, you're going to Cars and Coffee, you want to have the best looking paint out there, a good coat of hand wax is a great way of doing it.
You know we haven't even mentioned yet, Yvan?
What?
The car wash.
Well, because it's so obvious.
The scratch pass.
Well, even if you look at the car wash, and recently I've been going through a lot of car washes. We did a test on the Fiat, and we're still doing that test, and Dick's gonna put a, thing here.
A link above.
A link above to lead you to that, but stay here for a while. Eventually you'll go there. And if you subscribe to the channel, if you give us a thumbs up and hit that notification bell, you're gonna see them anyways. Nonetheless, what happened is we're doing a test with the Fiat to see how much damage a car wash actually does to a vehicle. So we ceramic coated certain portions of the car, and I've gone through, at this point, maybe 35 or 40 car washes, all around the USA and Canada. It's amazing.
Enthusiastic is this man going through car washes because it's for science. I mean, we're doing it for you.
I'm damaging my own car for you. But anyways, the car washes generally will start with, they foam your car. And that is for the lubrication. It is for the emulsification. They put scents in it because they're actually using a very high pH soap to really get in there and do the job.
So what is the scent to make you feel better about the amount of damage that's being done?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Oh, it smells nice.
And the pink colors and everything.
Yeah, this smells nice. And then after that, the brushes start. Now, if you go to a touchless car wash, again, they start with the foam, then the high pressure, and it's very high pressure. So again, the touchless versus the touch car wash, there's not a big difference in terms of the damage that they're doing.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd think with the brushes it would be way worse.
The brushes today, now I'm saying the brushes today, and this is a well-maintained, good car wash. They're using neoprene brushes, and if you look closely as you're driving by
What's a neoprene brush?
So instead of a nylon bristle,
okay,
it's actually neoprene, like a wetsuit.
Okay. And nylon being what kind of fabric? What would that feel like?
Well, like the nylon brushes, the scrub brush you have for doing the dishes, that's probably a nylon brush.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's very abrasive.
Very abrasive.
Whereas a wetsuit is a little bit like, I can envision it at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I hope I helped you out there who thought that you knew things but didn't.
Yeah.
You were afraid to ask.
Right, so.
Big words from Yvan.
Yeah, so the neoprene brush, first of all, if we go back into the 80s or the 90s, the brushes were turning really fast. You could hear them just slapping the car. They were definitely doing damage. Today, the car washes want to do a good job. They're doing their best not to damage your vehicle. Nobody builds a car wash saying, I'm gonna swirl up 5,000 cars a day. No, they want to do a good job. And I know car wash owners that take their personal vehicle through their car wash every day and inspect it just to see that my car wash is not doing damage. And after you saw my car, after 30 some car washes, it's actually not that bad.
It looks shiny.
Yeah.
It's clean.
Right. That being
There's drips under the mirror everywhere that
exactly.
can't stand because that's part of the car wash life. But I mean, it is what it is, right? You can't have a manual labor hand wash business as a car wash and probably make as much money as if everything's automated. So.
No, and I had a friend that had a hand car wash. It was a tunnel, wash at one end, it went through the dryers. The dryers were automated, and then you'd have people hand drying with like a drying aid at the end and send them on their way. And that car wash always had a lineup. And it was a good car wash. But the cars he was seeing were, we'll say, regular, ordinary cars. Family sedans, minivans, pickup trucks, things like that. In that same tunnel one day, he got tired of dealing with employees because that was a labor-intensive, employee-intensive operation.
Yeah.
Got tired of dealing with employees, shut it down, built out a brand new modern tunnel with a moving floor and everything, and started up. He didn't know his town had Maseratis, Ferraris, Corvettes, BMWs, and all these fancy cars because they weren't coming to his hand car wash because it took too long. But the 3-minute car wash, when you're someone that's, let's say, a lawyer making $250, $300, $400, $500 an hour, sitting in line at a car wash is not a really good use of your time. But now if you have a car wash that takes 2 minutes, bingo, off we go.
Time is money.
Right. And the car washes today, like I was saying, so the neoprene brushes turn a lot slower. And as you're going through the tunnel, if you want to risk your car, so you go through the tunnel, and if you look, the good car washes, as soon as the brush comes off of your vehicle, it is hit by a line of pressure washers to clean off the brush. So by the time it rolls back around, it's clean. But do they maintain their equipment properly? Some do, some don't. We have a car wash owner that actually sells DIY detail products to his customers as they exit the tunnel in Naples, Florida. He maintains this car wash. It's the best maintained car wash I've ever seen. So yes, he takes pride. He's a former detailer, now a car wash owner. He takes pride in, my car wash doesn't scratch cars.
That's the dream, I think. As detailers, we get so focused in on our dogmatic approach to safe washing, and obviously I feel that in my heart is the best way to wash a car.
Yeah.
But you often think, man, you know who's really making money in this car world? It's those car washes, man. So good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah. So love a shine in Naples, Florida.
Graham, right?
Yeah. And if you're ever in the Naples area, drop in, say hello, and get your car washed. But yes, so car washes can be safe. And there's a lot of people at home, back in the 70s, washing our cars. What did we do? Garden hose, spray it down with a garden hose. We washed it with the car wash soap that was available then.
Or maybe dish soap?
Yeah, no, in my family, we always used a car wash soap. We're good. But anyways, and then what did we use for drying back then? A leather chamois, or chamois, I think you guys call it.
Sounds fancy.
Yeah, it sounds fancy. And it was a process. You had to get it wet, you had to wring it out, and then you scrape it literally scrape it along the car.
Yeah, I know.
And it did a good job. But it was leaving swirls because drying aid didn't exist back then. Drying lubricant was a non-heard of term. So cars were getting swirled up regularly.
We had put a man on the moon, but we didn't have a drying lubricant.
No, we didn't.
What a travesty.
Yeah, exactly. So the world has evolved. We're getting better. Clear coats are getting thinner, but they're also getting harder. And now we have ceramic coatings to help protect us. And we have better and better chemicals and tools, so microfiber towels.
I would say towels are huge. I mean, getting a proper towel, a well-made towel, we offer them on our website, DIYdetail.com. There's a lot of really good towels out there, not just us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not here to sell you anything. But a good towel maintained well. So we say wash them cold with a detergent that is free of fragrances, free of dyes, free of perfumes.
And a liquid detergent.
Yes, not a powdered one.
All right, because a powder doesn't always break down 100% in your washing machine, meaning that those little microfibers that, they sort of look like this, but the whole circle around. So the whole fiber looks like this, and those little particles can get stuck in here and then scratch your paint.
The same stuff that is good at removing dirt and cleaning will also attach to those little particles. Yeah, and then just hang dry if you can. So wash your towels separately. Yeah. If you want to be OCD about it, either tumble dry low or hang dry your really nice towels. Yeah. And those towels will take care of you.
Exactly.
So you want to lubricate your paint with something that's going to have some, advertised lubrication. It's going to lift, suspend the dirt. Ideally, before you touch it with anything, you rinse it off then. And at that point, you use a safe wash like Incredible Suds or Rinseless Wash or a detailer out there if people are going to use that for your sort of contact wash. Yeah. But try to use a chemical and then a rinse before you touch your paint with anything. Right. Is that a good summary there?
Definitely. Yeah. And if you are going to a professional detailer, make sure they're following best practices as well.
You can be a professional detailer from A to Z in terms of professionalism and experience. There is the IDA, the International Detailers Association, but it's not something that every detailer has subscribed to. And so there's a wide array of detailers out there. Some of them may know everything we're saying, others may have no idea.
No, and some people that have been in the industry 40 years don't know as much as the guy that just started last week.
I think it's funny on some of the YouTube comments, people are like, this is taken way too seriously, the idea of washing cars. Who has time for this? And I think that's an interesting insight. But if you're watching, you care. So we know people care,
Yes.
and we know people think it's crazy to care, but it's a big world out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, thank you. We'll see
Thank
in
you
the
so
next
much.
one.
We love you guys, and make sure to like this video if you found value, subscribe as well, and we'll see you on the next one.